The lights in the lower level of New Horizon Station flickered again. Hannah Kim looked up from her data pad and sighed. Everything on this mining station seemed to break down at least once a week. She pushed her black hair behind her ear and went back to reading the reports about the alien creatures locked up in the holding cells. New Horizon Station floated in empty space near a small planet covered in purple rocks and strange crystals. The Galactic Council had sent mining teams here to dig up valuable metals. What they found instead were creatures living deep under the ground. Big creatures. Dangerous creatures, or at least that was what everyone said. Hannah worked as a xenobiologist. Her job was to study alien life forms. Most of the other scientists on the station treated the captured creatures like objects to be tested and studied. They poked them with needles. They took samples of their skin and blood. They ran loud machines that made the creatures scared and angry, but Hannah was different. She believed these creatures had feelings. She thought they might even be smart. This made the other people on the station laugh at her. They called her soft. They said she cared too much about things that did not matter. The worst person was Security Chief Do-Yeon Park. He was a tall man with mean eyes who enjoyed making other people feel small. He walked through the lower levels every day, making sure the creatures stayed locked up tight, carried a big energy weapon on his belt, and never smiled. "Still playing with your pets down here, Kim?" Do-Yeon said as he walked into the main lab. His boots made loud sounds on the metal floor. "When are you going to do some real science instead of just staring at these things?" Hannah did not look up from her work. "I am doing real science. I am trying to understand their behavior patterns." Do-Yeon laughed. It was not a nice laugh. It's behavior patterns, right? They eat, they sleep, they try to escape. There are your behavior patterns. 3 other security guards stood behind Do-Yeon. They all laughed too. Hannah felt her face get hot with anger, but she kept quiet. Fighting with Do-Yeon never helped anything. "Have you seen Subject 47 today?" Do-Yeon asked. "Your favorite monster is acting up again. It keeps making those weird light patterns." The night shift guards are getting nervous. Subject 47 was the biggest creature they had captured. It stood almost 3 meters tall and had 6 thick arms that ended in what looked like hands. With too many fingers, skin was like living crystal that changed color from blue to green to purple. Strange marks covered its body that glowed with soft light. Everyone else on the station was afraid of Subject 47. The miners who had captured it said it had fought like a wild animal. It had smashed 3 mining robots before they managed to stun it with electric nets. The creature had been angry and violent ever since they brought it to the station. Everyone except Hannah was afraid of it. "I will check on it," Hannah said quietly. "You do that?" Do-Yeon said. "But remember the rules. No getting too close to the holding cell. No trying to feed it. And definitely no more of your weird talking to it." After Do-Yeon and his guards left, Hannah gathered her things and walked down the long hallway to the holding cells. The station was built like a wheel, with different levels for different purposes. The holding cells were on the lowest level, far away from where most people worked and lived. The hallway was dark and cold. Old pipes ran along the ceiling, making small dripping sounds. Hannah could hear the hum of the energy barriers that kept the creatures locked up. Each cell had a number painted on the door and a small window to look through. She passed cells holding smaller creatures. Some looked like insects with too many legs. Others were more like plants that moved on their own. All of them had been taken from the planet below. All of them were far from home. At the end of the hallway was Cell 47. It was bigger than the others because it held the biggest creature. Hannah walked up to the window and looked inside. Subject 47 sat in the middle of the cell. Its crystal skin was glowing with soft blue light. The patterns on its body pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. Its 6 arms were wrapped around its body, and it rocked back and forth very slowly to most people. It looked like a dangerous monster. But Hannah saw something else. She saw sadness. She saw loneliness. The way it held itself reminded her of a person trying not to cry. "Hello," Hannah said softly through the small speaker next to the window. "How are you feeling today?" The creature stopped rocking Its head turned toward the window. It had no face that humans could understand, but Hannah felt like it was looking right at her. The light patterns on its skin changed from blue to a soft green color. "I know you can hear me," Hannah continued. "I know you understand more than they think you do." She had been visiting Subject 47 every day for 2 months. At first, the creature had been angry and violent, just like everyone said. It would throw itself against the energy barrier and make loud screeching sounds. But slowly, day by day, it had become calmer when Hannah was there. The other scientists thought this was just because the creature was getting tired and giving up. But Hannah believed it was something more. She thought the creature was learning to trust her. "I brought something to show you today," Hannah said. She pulled out her datapad and held it up to the window. On the screen was a picture of Earth, her home planet. Blue oceans and white clouds and green land. The creature moved closer to the window. Its light patterns became brighter and more complex. Colors shifted from green to purple to gold. "That is where I come from," Hannah explained. "It is very far away. I miss it sometimes, just like you miss your home." For the next hour, Hannah sat by the window and talked to Subject 47. She told it about Earth. She told it about the plants and animals there. She showed it pictures of forests and mountains and rivers. The creature listened to everything. Its light patterns became more active when Hannah talked about living things. When she showed pictures of Earth's oceans, the lights on its skin moved like waves. Other station workers sometimes walked by and saw Hannah sitting there. They would shake their heads and whisper to each other. They thought she was wasting her time. They thought she was being foolish. Dr. Minho Choi was the worst. He was the head scientist on the station, and he thought Hannah was making the whole research team look bad. He would make comments about her unprofessional behavior during team meetings, said she was emotionally compromised and could not do proper scientific work. But Hannah did not care what they thought. Every day she came to visit Subject 47. Every day. She talked to it and showed it pictures and treated it like a thinking, feeling being instead of just a specimen to be studied. What none of them knew was that Subject 47 was learning too. It was watching Hannah through the window. It was listening to her voice. It was beginning to understand that not all humans were the same and deep in its crystal mind. It was preparing for something that would change everything on New Horizon Station. Strange things started happening on New Horizon Station 3 weeks after. Hannah began her daily visits to Subject 47. At first, nobody noticed the small problems. A computer would restart for no reason. A light would flicker in an empty hallway. The air recycling system would make odd humming sounds. Engineer Kyung-soo was the first person to complain about it. He was a short man with thick glasses who took care of all the machines on the station. He came to the morning briefing, looking tired and confused. "The main computer system crashed twice yesterday," he told Commander Ji-won Lee. "I ran full diagnostics. But I cannot find any problems. Everything looks normal, but something is making the system act weird." Commander Lee was a serious woman who had been running space stations for 15 years. She did not like mysteries. Could it be a virus in the computer programs? "I checked for that already," Kyung-soo said. "All the security programs are working fine. The power grid keeps having small fluctuations. The pattern does not make sense." Hannah listened to this conversation from the back of the briefing room. Something about Kyung-soo's words made her think of Subject 47. The creature's light patterns had been more active lately. It pulsed faster and brighter, especially during the times when the computer problems happened. After the meeting, Hannah went to her lab and pulled up the station's power usage reports on her computer. She spent hours looking at the data, trying to find connections between the power fluctuations and the times. She visited Subject 47. What she found made her heart beat faster. Every time the creature's lights became more active, the station's power grid showed small changes. When Subject 47's patterns pulsed quickly, the computers would have problems. When the creature's lights moved in wave patterns, the air systems would make strange sounds. It was like Subject 47 was somehow connected to the station's electrical systems. Hannah printed out the data and ran down to the holding cells. She found Subject 47 sitting near the energy barrier that kept it locked up. Its crystal skin was glowing with soft purple light. "I think I understand what you were doing," Hannah said through the speaker. She held up the printed papers. "You are not just sitting in there doing nothing. You are learning about our technology." The creature's head moved toward her voice. The light patterns on its skin changed from purple to bright blue. The patterns moved faster, like they were excited. "Show me," Hannah said. "Show me that you can control the station's systems." For a moment, nothing happened. Then the lights in the hallway flickered. They went off and on 3 times, then stayed. On Subject 47's skin glowed brighter with the same rhythm. Hannah could not believe what she was seeing. "You were doing that? You were making the lights change?" The creature moved closer to the energy barrier. Its 6 arms reached out toward Hannah, but stopped before touching the barrier. The light patterns on its skin became more complex. Colors shifted from blue to green to gold in waves that moved across its whole body. Hannah spent the next hour watching. As Subject 47 demonstrated its control over small systems throughout the station, it could make lights flicker, could change the temperature in empty rooms. It could even make the food dispensers in the cafeteria stop working. But the creature was being careful. It only affected systems when no one else was around to notice. It was like Subject 47 did not want anyone except Hannah to know what it could do the next day. Hannah tried to share her discovery with Dr. Minho Choi. She brought her data to his office, which was on the upper level where the important scientists worked. His office had a big window that looked out at the stars. "Dr. Choi, I need to show you something important about Subject 47, Hannah said. Minho looked up from his own work with an annoyed expression. He was a thin man with a pointed beard who thought he was smarter than everyone else on the station. "What now, Kim? More of your theories about the creature having feelings?" "It is more than that," Hannah said. She spread her papers on his desk. "Look at these power fluctuation reports. They match exactly with the creature's bioluminescent activity patterns." Minho glanced at the papers for about 10 seconds. "Coincidence. You are seeing patterns that do not exist because you want them to exist. But the timing is too perfect to be coincidence," Hannah insisted. "The creature is somehow interfacing with our electrical systems. It might be trying to communicate." "Listen to yourself," Minho said with a cruel laugh. "You think this animal is smart enough to hack our computers? You have been spending too much time in those holding cells. It is affecting your judgment." Hannah felt frustrated, but she tried again. "What if we are wrong about these creatures? What if they are more intelligent than we thought? They are specimens, Kim. Biological samples for us to study and understand. Stop trying to make them into something they are not." Minho gathered up her papers and handed them back to her. "I suggest you focus on real science instead of fantasy." That afternoon, Hannah tried talking to Commander Lee about her discovery, but the commander was dealing with a broken mining robot and did not have time to listen to theories about intelligent aliens. "Kim, I need you to focus on your assigned duties," Commander Lee said. "We are here to catalog these creatures, not to prove they can think." Even worse was when Security Chief Doyen heard about Hannah's claims. He found her in the cafeteria during dinner time, when other people could hear their conversation. "So now you think your pet monster is some kind of computer genius?" Doyen said loudly. Other people at nearby tables turned to listen. "What next? You going to tell us it can fly spaceships too?" The other security guards with him laughed. Some of the miners and engineers laughed too. Hannah felt her face turn red with embarrassment. "I have scientific data to support my observations," she said quietly. "What?" "You have wishful thinking," Doyen replied. "You want these things to be smart so badly that you are imagining connections that do not exist. Maybe you should ask for a transfer back to Earth before you completely lose your mind." That night, Hannah sat alone in her small room and wondered if everyone else was right. Maybe she was seeing things that were not there. Maybe she wanted Subject 47 to be intelligent so much that she was making up evidence. But then she remembered. The way the creature had made the lights flicker in the exact pattern of its skin colors, that was not imagination. That was real. The next morning, Hannah went back to the holding cells with a new plan. Instead of trying to convince other people, she would learn more about what Subject 47 could do. If the creature really was intelligent, Maybe it could teach her how it was controlling the station's systems. She found Subject 47 waiting by the window, as if it knew she was coming. Its skin glowed with warm yellow light that reminded Hannah of sunrise on Earth. "I believe you," she said through the speaker. "I know you are smart. I know you understand what is happening here. But I need you to help me prove it to the others." The creature moved even closer to the energy barrier. Its light patterns became very complex, with multiple colors swirling across its crystal skin. Hannah realized she was looking at some kind of language. The lights were not random. They were organized. They had meaning. Subject 47 was trying to talk to her, and deep in the creature's mind, was preparing to share knowledge that would change everything the humans thought. They knew about the universe. Hannah worked for 3 days to build a simple device that could translate the light patterns from Subject 47. She used parts from old computer monitors and some broken equipment from the engineering section. The device was not pretty, but it could detect the different colors and patterns that moved across the creature's skin. When she finished building it, Hannah carried the device down to the holding cells. Her hands shook a little because she was excited and nervous. If this worked, she would be the first human to actually communicate with one of these creatures. Subject 47 was waiting for her. As soon as Hannah appeared at the window, the creature moved close to the energy barrier. Skin began glowing with soft blue light. "I made something to help us talk," Hannah said. She held up her device so the creature could see it. "Can you try making different patterns so I can test it?" The creature's skin suddenly blazed with bright light. Colors flowed across its crystal body like water. Red, blue, green, yellow, purple. The patterns moved in waves and spirals and shapes that Hannah had never seen before. Her device started beeping and flashing numbers on its small screen. The translation program was working, but the results did not make sense yet. She needed to watch more patterns and build a bigger database of what each color and movement meant. For the next hour, Subject 47 showed Hannah hundreds of different light patterns. Sometimes the lights moved slowly, sometimes they flashed quickly, sometimes they covered the whole body, sometimes they appeared only on the creature's arms or head. Hannah recorded everything with her device. She was so focused on her work that she did not notice when Security Chief Do-Yen appeared behind her. "What is that thing you are holding?" Do-Yen demanded. Hannah jumped and almost dropped her device. "It is a translation program. I am trying to understand how Subject 47 communicates." Do-Yen looked at the creature through the window. Subject 47 had stopped making light patterns and was now sitting very still. "You built a machine to talk to that thing?" "Yes. I think these creatures have their own language based on bioluminescent patterns. If I can decode it, we might be able to learn from them." "Learn what?" "How to sit in a cage and glow in the dark?" Do-Yen laughed, but it was not a happy sound. "Kim, you are wasting time and station resources on this nonsense." "It is not nonsense," Hannah said firmly. "This creature is intelligent. Has been trying to communicate with us since we captured it." Ajon stepped closer to her. He was much taller than Hannah, and he used his size to make her feel small. "You are becoming obsessed with this animal. Commander Lee is starting to ask questions about your behavior." After Do-Yen left, Hannah continued working with her translation device. Slowly, she began to understand some basic patterns. Bright colors seemed to mean excitement or urgency. Soft colors meant calm or sadness. Fast movements meant questions. Slow movements meant statements. But there was one pattern that appeared over and over again. It was a combination of red and orange lights that pulsed in a specific rhythm. Every time this pattern appeared, Subject 47 would look toward the ceiling, as if it was thinking about something above the station. On the 4th day, Hannah finally made a breakthrough. Her device had learned enough patterns to translate. Simple concepts. When Subject 47 made lights, words appeared on her screen. The first real message was, "Danger comes from deep space." Hannah stared at the words on her screen. "What danger?" she asked out loud. Subject 47's entire body blazed with urgent red light. The translation device worked frantically to keep up with all the patterns. They consume worlds. They follow signals. Your mining sends signals. "I don't understand," Hannah said. What are devourers? The creature moved to the center of its cell. 6 arms spread wide, and its skin showed patterns that were more complex than anything Hannah had seen before. Colors flowed and mixed and changed in ways that made her device struggle to translate. What appeared on her screen made her blood turn cold. Ancient enemy. Destroyed my people, eat metal and flesh, turn everything into themselves. They heard. Your station calling, they are coming. Hannah felt sick to her stomach. When? When are they coming? Soon. Very soon. Must warn others. Must prepare defenses. For the next 2 hours, Subject 47 told Hannah about the Devourers. They were a species that traveled through space looking for worlds to consume. They could take any technology and make it part of themselves. They turned captured creatures into slaves. They had destroyed hundreds of civilizations. The creature's own people, who called themselves the Resonants, had been one of those civilizations. They'd been guardians, protectors of younger species. But the Devourers had found them and almost wiped them out completely. Only a few of us survived. The patterns on Subject 47's skin said, we hide on different worlds. We wait for chance to fight back. Why didn't you tell us this before? Hannah asked. You treated us like animals, put us in cages. We thought you were like the Devourers, but you were different. You listen, you care. Hannah's hands were shaking as she gathered her equipment. She had to tell Commander Lee about this immediately. If an alien invasion fleet was really coming to New Horizon Station, everyone needed to know. She found Commander Lee in the main control room. Looking at reports from the mining teams on the planet below, several other officers were there too, including Dr. Minho Choi. Commander, I need to speak with you urgently, Hannah said. Can it wait? We have 3 mining robots that stopped working today. No, it cannot wait. You're in immediate danger. There is an alien fleet coming to attack the station. Everyone in the control room stopped what they were doing and stared at Hannah. Dr. Minho Choi looked embarrassed, like Hannah was making him look bad just by being there. How could you possibly know about an alien fleet? Commander Lee asked. 47 told me. I built a translation device, and it warned me about something called the Devourers. The silence in the control room was so complete that Hannah could hear the hum of the computers. Then Dr. Minho started laughing. She thinks. The creature talked to her, he said to the other officers. She built some kind of machine, and now she believes she can have conversations with it. The translation device works, Hannah insisted. The creature species are called resonants. They were nearly destroyed by these devourers, who consume technology and biological matter. Commander Lee looked concerned, but not about alien invaders. She was concerned about Hannah. Kim, I think you need to take some time off. Maybe see the station medical officer. I am not sick, Hannah said desperately. I am trying to save all of our lives. You are having delusions, Dr. Minho said firmly. This is what happens when researchers spend too much time with alien specimens. You start to think they are more than they really are. Check the long-range sensors, Hannah begged. Look for approaching ships. Commander Lee nodded to one of the junior officers. Run a sensor sweep. Full range. The officer worked at his console for several minutes. Nothing on sensors, Commander. Space is clear in all directions. The Devourers might have stealth technology, Hannah said, but she could see that no one believed her. Kim, report to Dr. Yang for a psychological evaluation, Commander Lee ordered. Until then, you are restricted from accessing the holding cells. Security Chief Doyan stepped forward with a satisfied smile. I will make sure she stays away from the creatures. This obsession has gone too far. As Hannah was escorted from the control room, she looked back at Commander Lee. When they arrive, remember that I tried to warn you, and remember that Subject 47 wanted to help protect us. That night, Hannah sat in her quarters under guard. She was not allowed to leave or contact anyone, but she knew that somewhere. Below, Subject 47 was waiting in its cell. It's probably trying to prepare for the battle that was coming. The creature had trusted her with the truth. But the truth was too strange for anyone else to believe, and in the deep darkness of space, something was moving to our New Horizon station. Something hungry and terrible that had heard the electromagnetic signals from their mining operation and was coming to feed. 3 days passed while Hannah remained locked in her quarters. She spent the time staring out her small window at the stars, wondering if the Devourers were already out there, moving closer to the station. No one came to visit her except the guard, who brought her meals on the third night. All the lights on New Horizons Station suddenly went out. Emergency power kicked in a few seconds later. Bathing everything in red light, alarm sirens started wailing throughout the station. Hannah could hear people running in the hallways outside her door. Her door lock clicked open. In the confusion, the electronic systems had reset themselves. Hannah did not waste time wondering why. She grabbed her translation device and ran toward the holding cells. The hallways were full of panicked station workers. Engineers ran toward the control rooms. Security guards rushed to their posts. Everyone was shouting questions that no one could answer. Hannah pushed through the crowds and made it to the lower levels. The holding cells were darker than usual, lit only by the red emergency lights. But she could see a bright glow coming from cell 47. Subject 47 was pressed against the energy barrier, its entire body blazing with urgent light. Patterns. The creature's skin showed colors that Hannah had never seen before. Bright whites and deep reds mixed with flashing gold. "What is happening?" Hannah asked, as she connected her translation device. The words that appeared on her screen made her heart stop. "They are here. The Devourers have arrived. The station is being scanned. They will attack soon." Hannah looked up toward the ceiling, as if she could see through the metal floors to space above. "How long do we have?" "Very little time. They are deciding if this place has enough resources to be worth taking. Your people need to prepare for battle. I tried to warn them. Nobody believed me." "Then you must make them believe. Release me. Can help defend this station." Before Hannah could respond, the entire station shook violently. The lights flickered, and the air filled with a grinding, scraping sound that seemed to come from the outer hull. Her communication device crackled to life. Commander Lee's voice echoed through the station. "All personnel to emergency stations. We are under attack by unknown vessels. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill." Hannah ran back through the hallways toward the control room. The station shook again, harder this time. She could hear metal twisting and breaking somewhere above her head. When she reached the control room, she found chaos. Officers were shouting reports at Commander Lee, who stood in the center trying to make sense of everything happening at once. "Hull breach on level 7, one officer called out. "Weapons are not responding," said another. "They are jamming our communications array," reported a third dot through the main viewing window. Hannah could see the attackers for the first time. They were not ships in any normal sense. They looked like twisted combinations of metal and flesh, with parts of different vessels welded together in horrible ways. Some pieces looked like they had once been human technology. Other parts were clearly alien. The Devourer ships moved like living things, flowing through space rather than flying. They wrapped around New Horizons Station like snakes, their metal tentacles cutting into the hull. Commander Hannah shouted over the noise, "I know what these things are. Subject 47 warned me about them." Commander Lee turned to look at her. The commander's face was pale with fear and stress. "Kim, how did you get out of your quarters?" "The power failure unlocked my door. That doesn't matter now. These are called Devourers. They consume technology. And biological matter? Our weapons won't work against them because they can absorb and repurpose anything we shoot at them." Dr. Minho Choi was standing nearby, trying to coordinate the science teams. "She is still having delusions, Commander. Don't listen to her." Another violent shake threw everyone to the floor. Warning lights flashed as more hull breaches were reported. "Defense systems are useless," reported Tactical Officer Suyun. "Every weapon we fire at them just gets absorbed into their ships. They are getting stronger." Commander Lee looked at the tactical displays, where red warning indicators showed the Devourers cutting deeper into the station. How could Subject 47 know about these attackers? "Because its species fought them before," Hannah said quickly. "The Resonants were guardians who protected other civilizations from threats like this. Subject 47 survived the destruction of its homeworld." "Even if that were true," Dr. Minho said, "what could one creature do against an entire fleet?" "Security." Chief Doyan stumbled into the control room. His uniform was torn, and he had blood on his forehead. The outer defense grid is gone. They are cutting through our hull like it's made of paper.
Ow.
We need to evacuate. Evacuation pods are not responding, Commander Lee said grimly. They have disabled our escape routes. Hannah stepped forward. Subject 47 says it can help. Defend the station. But you have to release it from the holding cell. Absolutely not, Doyen said immediately. That creature is dangerous. We cannot let it loose during a crisis. It is more dangerous to leave it locked up, Hannah argued.
I will see.
That is the wide ever why will be why be
Creature has been preparing for this. It has been interfacing with our systems for weeks, learning how everything works. Commander Lee stared at the tactical display, where more red warnings appeared every second. The Devourers were systematically destroying every defense of the station. Had all our weapons are useless, she said quietly. Our shields are down. Our communications are jammed. She looked at Hannah. What exactly did the creature tell you it could do? Said it could prepare defenses. I think it has been modifying our systems without us knowing. All those computer glitches and power fluctuations, that was Subject 47 getting ready for this attack. The station shook again. This time, they could hear the sound of metal being torn apart much closer to the control room. Dr. Minho grabbed Commander Lee's arm. Cannot seriously be considering releasing that thing. We don't know what it might do. Do, Hannah said firmly. It won't let the Devourers destroy another civilization. That is what its people died fighting against. Commander Lee looked around the control room at her panicked officers. Every screen showed red warnings. Every report brought worse news. They were losing the battle against an enemy they did not understand. The creature really told you it could help? She asked Hannah. Yes, but it has to be released from the energy containment field. Security Chief Doyan stepped in front of Hannah. Commander, I cannot allow this. The creature could kill everyone on the station. The Devourers are already doing that, Commander Lee said. She looked at the main display where the enemy ships were cutting deeper into the station's structure. How much worse could it get? Hannah pulled out her translation device. Let me talk to Subject 47 one more time. Let me ask exactly what it needs to help us. Commander Lee nodded. Do it. But quickly, Hannah activated her device and spoke. Into the communication system that connected to the holding cells. Subject 47. Can you hear me? The response came immediately, translated through her device. I am here. The Devourers are cutting through your outer defenses. Very little time. The commander wants to know exactly what you need to help defend the station. Release me from the containment field. I will show you what your station can really do. But you must trust me completely. Hannah looked at Commander Lee at once. To be released? Says it will show us what the station can really do. Another explosion rocked the control room. The lights went out completely for several seconds before the backup power restored them. We are out of options, Commander Lee said finally. Do it. Security Chief Doyan started to protest, but Dr. Minho grabbed his arm. Look around you, Dr. Minho said quietly. We're all going to die anyway. Well, maybe the creature really can help. Commander Lee turned to her communications officer. Override the containment field in holding cell 47. Full release. Yes, Commander. As the officer worked at his console, Hannah felt her heart pounding. In a few moments, Subject 47 would be free. Either it would save them all, or they would discover that trusting an alien creature had been the last mistake any of them would ever make. The station shook one more time, and somewhere in the distance, they heard the sound of an energy barrier powering down. The moment the containment field shut down, everything on New Horizon Station changed. A deep rumbling sound came from the lower levels, like a giant machine starting up for the first time. The lights stopped flickering and became steady.
Computer.
Screens that had been showing error messages suddenly displayed clear readings. "What is happening?" Commander Lee asked. Before anyone could answer, Subject 47's voice came through the communication system. But this time it was not translated light patterns. The creature was speaking in perfect human language. "I am taking control of your station systems now. Do not be afraid. I have been preparing for this moment since you've captured me." Everyone in the control room stared at the speakers in shock. Dr. Minho's mouth hung open. Security Chief Do Yen reached for his weapon, then stopped when he realized how useless it would be. "You can speak our language?" Commander Lee asked. "I learned it by listening to your conversations and accessing your computer databases. Your translation device helped me understand the connection between your words and your thoughts." Hannah Kim. Main display screen flickered and changed. Instead of showing damage reports, it now displayed a three-dimensional map of the station and the surrounding space. The Devourer ships appeared as red dots wrapped around the station like a deadly net. "Your mining equipment has been modified over the past weeks," Subject 47 explained. "What you thought were system malfunctions were actually me preparing defenses. Your asteroid processing machines are now weapons. Your power collectors are now shields." As the creature spoke, panels opened in the station's hull that no one knew existed. Massive energy cannons emerged from what had looked like simple mining equipment. The station's rotating sections moved into new positions, creating angles and defensive formations. "Impossible," Dr. Minho whispered. "How could it modify our systems without us knowing?" "Your people see only what you expect to see," Subject 47 replied. "You expected mining equipment, so you did not notice when I made it into something more." The first energy blast from the station's new weapons struck a Devourer ship dead center, instead of absorbing the energy like it had. Done with their normal weapons, the alien vessels shuddered and pulled back. "The weapon frequencies are tuned to disrupt their absorption abilities," Subject 47 explained. "They cannot consume energy that vibrates at harmonic wavelengths, or weapons fired from hidden positions around the station." Each blast forced the Devourer ships to retreat further. The terrible grinding sound of their metal tentacles cutting through the hull stopped. "They are falling back," Tactical Officer Suyun reported with amazement in his voice. But Subject 47's voice carried a warning tone. "This is only the beginning. The Devourers adapt quickly. They will study our weapons and find ways. To counter them, we must press our advantage now." The creature's next move surprised everyone. The station's mining robots, which had been stored in the cargo bays, suddenly activated and flew out into space. But they were no longer simple mining machines. Subject 47 had transformed them into fighters, each one armed with the same harmonic weapons as the station. "How many robots do we have?" Commander Lee asked. 43 combat units are now active," Subject 47 replied. "But we will need more than weapons to defeat the Devourers. We need strategy." Through the viewing windows, they could see the robot fighters engaging the Devourer ships. The modified mining robots moved with precision and intelligence, working together like a trained military squadron. Subject 47 is controlling all of them at once, Hannah realized. It is coordinating the entire battle. "My people were guardians," the creature's voice said. "We fought the Devourers for thousands of years before they destroyed our worlds. I remember every battle tactic, every weakness they have." The Devourer ships began to change their formation. The twisted metal vessels moved apart and started attacking from different angles. Some of them split into smaller pieces, making them harder to hit. "They are adapting," Subject 47 warned. "Prepare for the second wave of attacks." New weapons emerged from the station. These were different from the first ones. They fired nets of energy that wrapped around the Devourer ships and held them in place while other weapons targeted them. Each weapon system I built has a different frequency, Subject 47 explained. The Devourers cannot adapt to all of them at the same time. Security Chief Do-Yun had been silent since the battle began, but now he stepped forward. What do you need us to do? How can we help? Hannah was surprised. Do-Yun had always been the most hostile towards Subject 47, but now he was asking how to help the creature save their lives. Your security teams know the station better than my sensors can map, Subject 47 replied. There may be Devourer infiltrators already inside the station. Small pieces that broke off from their ships and entered through the hull breaches. Commander Lee asked. The Devourers send scout units to learn about their targets from the inside. They look like small pieces of metal, but they can move and think independently. Do-Yun immediately activated his communication device. All security teams search for small metallic objects that should not be there. Consider them extremely dangerous. Do not touch them directly. While the security teams searched the station, the battle in space continued. The modified robots were holding their own against the Devourer ships, but more enemy vessels kept arriving. The red dots on the tactical display multiplied as reinforcements joined the attack. There are too many of them, Dr. Minho said fearfully. Perhaps Subject 47 replied, but they have not yet seen our final defensive system. We have more weapons? Commander Lee asked. We have the station itself. The rumbling sound from the lower levels grew louder. The entire structure of New Horizon Station began to change. Sections that had been locked in place for years started to move and rotate. The station transformed from a simple mining platform into something that looked like a massive fortress. I have been reinforcing the structural integrity for weeks, Subject 47 explained. The station can now withstand direct impacts and generate its own protective field. A shimmering barrier of energy surrounded the entire station. When Devourer weapons hit the barrier, they were deflected harmlessly into space. But the most important change is this, Subject 47 continued. The station's main mining laser, which was normally used to cut through asteroids, rotated to face the largest Devourer ship. But instead of the normal cutting beam, it fired a pulse of energy that made the space around the enemy vessel ripple like water. A harmonic disruption field, Subject 47 said. It breaks apart the connections that hold Devourer ships together. The large enemy vessel shuddered and began to come apart. Pieces of metal and organic matter separated and drifted away from each other. The other Devourer ships immediately pulled back, clearly afraid of the same weapon. They cannot absorb harmonic energy, Hannah said with understanding. That is why your people were guardians. You had the knowledge to fight them. Yes, but there is something else they fear even more than our weapons. What? Unity. The Devourers destroy civilizations by making them fight each other. They feed on conflict and chaos. But when different species work together, when they trust each other completely, the Devourers become vulnerable. Hannah looked around the control room. Commander Lee was working with Dr. Minho to coordinate the defense systems. Security Chief Do-Yun was directing his teams to protect the station's interior. Everyone was following the guidance of Subject 47 without question. For the first time since she had been assigned to New Horizon Station, Hannah saw her colleagues working as a real team. The crisis had forced them to put aside their fears and prejudices. That is what you were trying to teach us, she said quietly. Yes, your species has great potential, but you often let fear control your decisions. Today, you chose trust instead of fear. The battle was turning in their favor. More Devourer ships were retreating, and the harmonic weapons were proving effective. But Subject 47's voice carried a note of concern. The victory comes with a price. Using the harmonic disruption field requires enormous energy. I must draw power from my own life force to maintain it. What does that mean? Commander Lee asked. It means I may not survive this battle, but your people will, and that is what matters. As the largest Devourer ships began to flee into deep space, Hannah felt a mixture of joy and sadness. Subject 47 had saved them all, but the cost might be the life of the creature who had become her closest friend. The last Devourer ship disappeared into the darkness of deep space, leaving behind only floating pieces of destroyed metal. The harmonic disruption field around New Horizon Station slowly faded as Subject 47 reduced power to the defensive. Systems in the control room, everyone watched the tactical display in amazement. The red dots that had threatened to destroy them were gone. Against all odds, they had won. All enemy vessels have retreated, Tactical Officer Suyun reported. Sensors show no remaining threats in the area. Commander Lee sat down. Heavily in her chair, her hands were shaking from the stress of the battle. How many casualties do we have? Surprisingly few, Dr. Minho said as he checked the medical reports. Some injuries from the hull breaches, but no deaths. The defensive modifications Subject 47 made protected the most important areas of the station. Security Chief Doyan was coordinating the search for Devourer infiltrators. His teams had found 12 small metallic creatures hiding throughout the station. All of them had been safely contained before they could cause damage. The station is secure, Dojan reported. Subject 47's warning about infiltrators saved us from internal sabotage, but Hannah was not celebrating with the others. Was worried about Subject 47. The creature had been silent for several minutes since the last Devourer ship fled. She activated her translation device and tried to contact it. Subject 47, are you there? The battle is over. A long pause followed. When the creature finally responded, its voice was much weaker than before. I am here, Hannah Kim, but I am very tired. Using the harmonic field required more energy than I expected. Hannah ran from the control room toward the holding cells. Needed to see Subject 47 for herself? Behind her, she could hear Commander Lee and the others following. When they reached Cell 47, they found the creature sitting in the center of the room. Its crystal skin was much dimmer than usual, flickering with weak patterns of light. Subject 47 looked smaller somehow, as if the battle had drained something essential from its body. The containment field is still down, Hannah said. You could leave the cell now if you wanted to. I am too weak to move far, Subject 47 replied. But I am glad to see you all safe. Commander Lee stepped forward. She looked embarrassed and sad. Owe you an apology. We treated you like a prisoner when you were trying to help us from the beginning. You were afraid, the creature said gently. Fear makes all species act defensively. I understood this. Dr. Minho cleared his throat. He had been silent since they arrived at the cell, but now he spoke up. I was wrong about you. I thought intelligence could only exist in forms I recognized. I have learned something important today. What have you learned? Subject 47 asked. That wisdom and compassion are more important than the shape of the body that contains them. Security Chief Doyen surprised everyone by kneeling down near the cell entrance. You saved our lives even though we kept you locked up. I have never met anyone, human or alien, with that kind of honor. People believed that protecting others was the highest calling, Subject 47 said. We failed to save our own civilization, but perhaps we can help save others. Your people? Commander Lee asked. Are there more of you out there? Yes. The survivors hide on distant worlds, afraid to reveal themselves after what the Devourers did to us, but now they will know that some species can be trusted. Subject 47's skin began to glow brighter. Colors flowed across its crystal body in patterns that Hannah had never seen before. Her translation device worked to decode the complex message. I'm sending a signal to my people, the creature explained. I am telling them about humanity. Your courage and your willingness to trust when trust was needed most. What will happen now? Hannah asked. My people will come here, not to hide, but to meet you as equals. We can share knowledge and work together to protect this part of the galaxy from threats like the Devourers. Over the next few hours, Subject 47 slowly regained some of its strength. The medical team, led by Dr. Yang, examined the creature and found that it was recovering well. The energy drained from the battle was temporary, not permanent. Commander Lee made an announcement to the entire station. Subject 47 would no longer be called Subject 47. It would be honored as a crew member and given quarters appropriate for someone of its size and needs. What should we call you? Hannah asked. You never told us your real name? My name in your language would be something like Keeper of Deep Songs. But I have grown fond of the name you gave me. You may continue to call me Glow, if you wish. Glow. It is, Hannah said with a smile. Dr. Minho approached Hannah later that day. He looked uncomfortable, like someone who needed to say something difficult. Wanted to apologize to you as well, he said. Saw what the rest of us missed. You recognized intelligence and compassion where we saw only an alien creature. I just listened, Hannah replied. Sometimes that is all anyone needs. You did more than listen. You risked your career and your reputation to defend what you believed was right. That takes courage. 3 days later, the long-range sensors detected new ships approaching New Horizons Station. But these were not devourer vessels. They were sleek, beautiful ships that seemed to be made of the same crystal material as Glow's skin. My people have arrived, Glow announced through the communication system. Commander Lee assembled the entire station crew in the main hangar bay to welcome the resonant ships. As the alien vessels docked with the station, Hannah felt nervous and excited at the same time. The airlock doors opened. 3 resonant beings entered the hangar. They were similar to Glow, but each had unique patterns and colors in their crystal skin. They moved with grace and dignity, like living works of art. Glow emerged from the crowd of humans to meet them. The reunion between the resonants was beautiful to watch. Their skin patterns synchronized, creating flowing colors that filled the hangar with gentle light. One of the new arrivals approached Commander Lee. When it spoke, its voice was warm and musical. I am called Harmony of Stars. We come to thank you for protecting our friend and to offer our alliance to your people. We are honored to meet you, Commander Lee replied. Your friend saved all our lives, and you saved his. Harmony of Stars. Said by choosing trust over fear, you prove that your species has wisdom as well as courage. The formal first contact ceremonies took several hours. Treaties were signed establishing friendship between humanity and the resonants. Plans were made for joint research stations and shared defensive systems. But for Hannah, the most important moment came when Glow approached her privately. I have a question for you, the creature said. What is it? My people have asked me to serve as the first resonant ambassador to humanity, but I would like to request that you serve as the first human ambassador to the resonance. Hannah felt tears in her eyes. You want me to be an ambassador? You understood us before anyone else did. You saw past our differences to find the common ground between our species. Who better to help build bridges between our peoples? I would be honored, Hannah said. 6 months later, New Horizons Station had become the center of human-resonant cooperation. The mining operation had been converted into a research facility where both species worked together to develop new technologies and defensive systems. Other alien species began to make contact as well. Word had spread through the galaxy that humanity and the resonants were creating a new alliance based on mutual respect and protection of younger civilizations. Hannah stood in her new office, looking out at the stars through a large window. Glow was beside her, its crystal skin glowing with soft blue light. Do you remember what you told me the first day we met? Glow asked. I told you hello, Hannah said with a laugh. Before that, you said you knew I could hear you. You said you knew. I understood more than the others thought I did. I remember. How did you know? Hannah thought about the question for a moment. I guess I recognized something in you that reminded me of myself. We were both alone. We were both trying to communicate with people who didn't want to listen. And now Hannah looked around the research facility where humans and resonants worked side by side. She watched scientists from both species sharing discoveries and ideas. She saw Security Chief Do Yen teaching resonant visitors about human defense procedures while learning about their harmonic technologies. We are not alone anymore. She said Glow's skin brightened with patterns that Hannah had learned meant happiness and contentment. No. The creature agreed. We are not alone anymore. In the distance, new ships appeared on the horizon, more species coming to join the alliance. More civilizations choosing cooperation over conflict. The galaxy was becoming a place where different forms of life could work together to face whatever challenges might come. It had all started with one human who chose to see intelligence and dignity in a creature that others feared. who chose compassion over prejudice, who chose to listen when everyone else had stopped hearing the beast they had mocked was never really a beast at all. It was a guardian, a protector, a friend. And the bond between Hannah and Glow had become the foundation for something much larger than either of them had ever imagined. In the end, the greatest strength had not come from weapons or technology. It had come from the simp.